The board game industry is absolutely in panic about tariffs, and there's this big online retail site called Boardlandia, which is now shutting down, and they're blaming tariffs for this fact. But if you actually read their letter, it's not tariffs. It's the fact that this business doesn't really work anymore. And there's a lot of board gaming that has just been a legacy board game industry that doesn't work anymore because of what's changed in the board game industry, that we're going to see a lot of falling apart in the next couple of years. And they're going to say that it's tariffs, but it's been falling apart for a while. All this stuff got propped up quite a bit for a little bit by COVID, incidentally, and a lot of people did not realize this. So I'm going to go over the business implications of this in just a moment. Kind of a different topic, guys, but this is tying into everything that's going on right now. The board game industry, like I said, is panicking over tariffs. All these companies are just whining and kicking and screaming rather than actually trying to build manufacturing in the United States to do things the right way. They've all been just absolutely dependent on Chinese slave labor for a long, long time to make little plastic trinkets. And they've been reliant on plastic trinkets rather than actually making cool mechanical products for a long, long time. Because if you've been in board gaming and tabletop gaming as long as I have, and you might know that back in the 80s, we didn't have all this fancy stuff. A lot of it was just little cardboard cutouts, and a lot of it was just pen and paper and dice, and that was it, right? And you could have a lot of fun with that, and you could make some cool mechanics with just that. You really didn't need these little plastic representations, and that's been something, like I said, these production qualities have hidden the fact that these games really have not innovated in a long, long time, which has been stagnating the industry for a long, long time as well and causing people to tune out. It's another story. But this is what's happening with Boardlandia, and I'll get into what their message is and what's going on in just a moment. So please hit the like and subscribe button as we talk about all things gaming here, my friends. Really appreciate you being here. I am a creator, my friends, and I make comic books and novels and science fiction and fantasy. I'll eventually get into gaming. That's something I do want to produce. Right now, I'm just trying to get this focused right here. But this is my newsletter, and I would like for you to sign up because I don't want to lose you. There's a couple things that happen here. We never know when the algorithm's going to actually show you a video of mine. Even if you're subscribed here and hit the bell and all the things, it's iffy these days. Unfortunately, that's the way that things are. So my newsletter is a great way to make sure I can stay in contact with you always. On top of that, you get 3 free books to start out, which means you get to see what my work is all about, and you can check that out. I've got an online bookstore in the description below as well if you want to support the channel and actually want to just buy our stuff. I really appreciate that too. But this is the spot to be because I've got new stuff coming out all the time. I'm very prolific. I really work hard, and I don't want you to miss these new releases. So be here. Grab this first. Get in the description below and sign up. Thank you guys so much for all the support. You've made this a wonderful career over here, and I appreciate you all for being here. All right, so this is what's going on with Boardlandia at this juncture. They wrote this notice on their website, important notice, closure of Boardlandia. It is with profoundly heavy heart we announce the closure of Boardlandia. The decision has not been only been a difficult business one, but also deeply affected us personally. Over the past few years, our business has faced a series of significant and increasing challenges. So they're going to get into blaming tariffs in just a moment, but this is the key statement right here. Over the past years, our business has faced a series of significant and increasing challenges. This is not just Boardlandia. This is going to be the entire industry, and I'll get into this after I finish reading their statement because this is the key. This is the truth right here. They say, we have poured our personal savings, time, countless hard work into Boardlandia. Why would you do that? It's a business. I mean, just you're supposed to be making money. Striving to overcome these obstacles, recent tariffs have added unsustainable burden to these existing pressures, leaving us with no viable path forward. And I'm going to posit that there were no viable path forward before tariffs. That, a little bit of a price increase might knock sales a little bit for a little bit. But of course, we know that those tariffs are changing. It's not a permanent thing as it is. So it's absolutely overreaction from the industry all the way around. On top of it, you can just get other manufacturing. But this is also an end retailer. So wait a minute. The manufacturers work with the actual board game companies that develop things like Stonemaier Games and the like. Stonemaier Games then has to import those things to the United States to get them to a distributor, which then gets them to you. So the people who are impacted and actually buying these and actually paying for the tariffs and all this are Stonemaier Games, Not you. You're a board game retailer, so you have a bunch of stock of board games and components and supplies and things like that that are in your store that you already have here in theory that shouldn't be impacting things, at least not right now. I mean, maybe for a couple new products or something like that, but it's probably not an 80, 90 even percent of your stock should even be impacted here. So this doesn't even make sense. So they're clearly using this as a political bludgeon intentionally because they're mad about the Trump administration. They're bitter about this stuff. If you've been watching, all these people, they're all on Blue Sky flipping out in this industry because there's a bunch of left-wing activists who control all of the board game industry. And that's been going on for a long, long time. So they're using this as an excuse, and they're using this to generate sympathy for a political cause when the truth is very, very different. And this is the truth I'm going to get into about board gaming and the like, okay? So they've got unfulfilled orders. They're shipping these out, but they've shut down all orders, and they've got a bunch of other stuff like I said, that was in their supplies that they had in stock and things like that already. So this doesn't make any sense because tariffs have only been here for a week, right? I mean, so yes, if you want to look at this, but this is the reality of the board game business, and retailers for the business has been going on for a long, long time. All these big board game companies have moved to direct sales with Kickstarter, with crowdfunding and different sites, even direct sales from their own websites. They've all cut everybody out as the middleman. So while you've bought your $60 board game, you're still buying your $60 board game, and that's going directly to the companies. Now, all these companies are raking in bigger profits than ever before because of this. They have just absolutely lived off of this. Keep in mind, all these board games back in the day used to have to go to Boardlandia. So a $60 board game would have to be sold to the distributor for about 15 to 20 bucks, and then the distributor would then sell it to Boardlandia for 30 to 40 bucks, and they'd mark it up to 60 bucks for you. That's how it would work. These board game companies actually went over the last few years from having those price points where they would be selling them for 15 or 20 bucks, making maybe $5 a board game, to this astronomical thing where they've got loads and loads of profit. That's why you should not feel bad for these companies whatsoever. It's all BS when they're complaining about this stuff. It's all bad business models, and that means they're spending things in the wrong spot because they had a huge profitability increase over the last few years because of crowdfunding and because of these direct sales. Now, all of these retailers have been hurt in this process because why would you just wait for a retailer when you could just pre-order the Kickstarter and all that? And then who knows if the retailer is going to carry it, if they're going to mark it up. All these things are big factors that have been hurting retail stores of board games for a long, long time. This has been going on, and it's been increasingly building since the pandemic. And board game companies, the bigger ones, have all been moving towards this sort of deal. It's been a huge, huge, huge snowball that, like they said, there's been economic pressures and the like over the past few years that have caused a problem. Now, the COVID actually saved them for a little bit because what happened with all this stuff was these online retailers were just getting people perusing websites and crowd surfing and watching reviewers of videos on board games and the like over and over and over again. And when that happened, there was a huge, huge upswing in board game sales because everybody was at home with their families, so they had time to play board games and watch all this content all the time. And so because of that, they had this upswing that was unsustainable. It all fell off over the last couple of years, and they've been bleeding money because of those two factors, which were never going to make these retail chains sustainable, because once these companies can just sell direct, why would they bother with this kind of thing whatsoever? And that's really what's been hurting these online retailer companies. That's the truth here, is these people, the Boardlandias, the miniature markets, etc., all got abandoned by the board game companies that were producing them because those people realized they could just cut out the middleman. They're the middleman. They got cut out. That's the problem right here. So you know what? Maybe tariffs are going to cause a board game to be 70 bucks instead of 60 bucks in the short term, or 65 bucks, because the production costs, let's be honest, these are $5-10 bucks. So if the production cost is 150% on tariffs, that means it's 15-20 bucks. And so they can just pass that along to the board game consumer, just increase the prices on the new games a little bit, and then that would not be a big problem. This has nothing to do with tariffs whatsoever. They're lying again because this is all a political point. They got screwed, and they didn't get screwed by the Trump administration. They got screwed by these companies who have been acting like they're victims this entire time because of their own little leftist little circle jerk that they've set up over here, where none of this was sustainable whatsoever. It's all a fake propped up industry that didn't work to begin with. And now you know the rest of the story. So that's what's happening here for real. And nobody else is going to tell the truth on this because, of course, everybody's just in the board game industry just flipping out. Tariffs, 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 tariffs. My Chinese plastic is $5 more. Wah! And that's all you're going to hear from these people over and over and over again. So Boardlandia is closing because they've been cut out by crowdfunding. That's really the truth of the matter. And their artificial sales prop up of COVID, that ended a couple years ago, and they've been bleeding ever since. Like I said, they've been pouring their life savings into it, like rather than actually making money with the business. And they are correct. There is no way forward. All of these retail shops are going to close. This is going to be the same for hobby shops and local ones. It's really, really sad on that level. But you know what? Online was bound to do that a long time ago. We saw this with bookstores. We've seen comic stores diminishing as well. This is something that's been happening a lot over the past 20 years. And, it's past time. If you've been trying to stick with a business that's not going anywhere for that long a time, it's kind of on you for not adapting and changing your business. Leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Hit the like and subscribe button. Make sure to check out my newsletter in the description below. We're moving forward with awesome stuff, guys. Moving faster and better than ever before, and I can't wait to get these books to you in the future that are going to be some of the best work I've ever done. Make sure to sign up. Don't lose you, my friends, and get 3 free books on me. Really appreciate you being here. We'll be back soon.